guys, welcome back to Irish Footy Vlogs. Welcome back to another season review video. This time's the turn of Dundalk FC, and Fikra Taffa's with me here today to dissect it all. How are you, Fikra?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm not too bad at all. So we'll obviously go back to the start, and we're obviously talking about this off air, but obviously Jim Magilton came in as director of football. Gio Vagnoli was the manager, the head coach rather. Shane Keegan was the manager because of the pro license. And we were just saying how it feels like it's a long, long time ago since Filippo Giovagnoli was actually at the club. It doesn't feel like it was the same season, but it actually was. You brought in a lot of new players from abroad as well, and I remember back at the start of the season thinking this was a bit strange. They're bringing in guys from the Faroes, Korea, Latvia or Lithuania, all kinds of countries across Europe and actually across different continents. And I always thought, how is that going to fit? How is it going to mix? Who's bringing the players in? It seemed to be Bill. But yeah, I mean, go back to the start yourself. And I suppose at the start of the season, when all this was happening, what was your general thoughts when the ball was kicked?
Well, I was to be honest, I was excited for the season because, as you say there, it was different. Everything was new. There's new players coming in, and you hear some of them are like international players playing for the Faroe Islands, playing for Latvia. You're like, this is amazing. Like, really, I can't wait. Boys are going to kick on. And then the President's Cup, we beat Shamrock Rovers and in the penalties, and you're like, oh, BB looked amazing in that. It all was flying. I thought it was going to be an amazing season. And then the season started. But yeah, no, I was looking forward to it. I think I remember we done a video at the start of it, before the start of the season, and I was saying it can go one or two ways with Dundalk. I thought we'd be up there challenging for the title, but obviously I was wrong. But yeah, no, like some of the boys there just completely flopped all together. I think some of the new boys we brought in, I think the biggest shock for me there was Junior. He was a complete flop for us. And I expected big things from him. Now, to be honest, I thought he was going to dominate that right wing. But no, the first chance we got, we shipped him off. But yeah, no, so it was genuinely exciting at the start, though, before everything, because like after coming off winning the cup, and then you win the President's Cup, you will get excited for the season then. And I don't know what happened then, to be honest. I really don't know what happened.
There were rumours then that Bill was picking the team himself, and obviously Keegan and Gio had left 5 games in. I think Dundalk were 9th at this moment in time. We'll get into later, but it never really got much better as the season went on, to be honest. But how did you feel when they left the club?
I didn't know what to feel because I was happy they were gone because they weren't doing the job. And then at the same time, though, it's always scary when you lose a manager, and it's not like it's different when it's at the end of the season. You're like, right, last game of the season, he's gone. We can build now. We can get a new manager, build it up. But in the middle of the season, there's no transfers to come in, and they're gone. And there was no hint of who's going to do it. I think you were saying off air that Jim Magilton was only meant to go in for 1 or 2 games. And then they're going to get someone in. He stayed for, seems like, ages he was there for. And there was never really any security. We never knew who we were getting. There was Vinny was named, and then no, Vinny wasn't doing it. And then they were getting this guy from England, and then it was going to be Jim Magilton full time. And then at one stage, I almost think it was like me and you were named as fucking managers. Everyone was getting named off.
I would have taken it for the record. Probably would have sent them down, but anyway.
And well, I've won the Champions League with them in FIFA, so you never know.
Good pedigree, to be fair. And then obviously Vinny Perth did come back, and that was seen as a shock at the time, if I recall, as well. I keep scratching my head here thinking all this happened in one season, by the way. It just seems like a long time ago or something with Dundalk. But yeah, he came in, and I personally was surprised, as an outsider, because obviously he seemed to lose the dressing room the first time. But he came back in, and initially he did steady the ship. But what were your thoughts when he came back in initially? Were you happy to see a familiar face back at the club?
Yeah, I was happy to see him come back because I did think he got a raw deal of it the first time when he got let go. I thought, I didn't know what to think of him coming back, I suppose, but you are happy to see him coming back. But it seemed at the same time it was like a step back. You just like going back to your old manager. I kind of did want to see a bit of a change, just for the sake of change, because obviously it wasn't working. what was happening, so just change it up. But it was nice to see him come back, and as you say, he did settle the dressing room a good wee bit for a lot of weeks, and then kind of everything ship kind of started sinking again. But he righted it up there, and I think he done himself well, done himself proud at the end of it all.
Yeah, I mean,
overall doing a good job.
Yeah, I think his first game. His first game was actually back in the derby against Drogheda, up in Drogheda, and Dundalk pinched that one as well, 1-0. So that set him off nicely, I suppose. But I suppose he had the European games as well, Fikra, and a bit like Bohemians, actually, the kind of the high point of their season and the high point really of Dundalk season was in Europe. They obviously beat Newtown 5-0 in aggregate, and beat Lavandia Tallinn 4-3 in aggregate. It came very close to knocking out Vitesse Arnhem, who beat Spurs, for example, in the group stage of the Europa League. They drew 2-2 over there in Vitesse, and they beat them. Sorry, they were beaten at home then as well. They put Vitesse under a lot of pressure. I was there as well in the last 20 minutes. Duffy was brilliant that day as well. But overall, what were your overall thoughts on the European adventures?
Yeah, well, it was like two different teams, wasn't it? One was playing in Europe, one was playing in the league. Completely different sides, really, because like in Europe we were a beast. I thought was like slaughtered Newtown, and as you said, like we'd no right to be with our season in the league. We didn't have any right to be performing as well as we did in Europe, especially against Vitesse. And like McElhaney's goal, I think, was it over there in the 2-2 draw?
Yeah, that was brilliant.
I think that got goal of the season for Dundalk. Like that was some touch and some audacity to check the keeper
against a team of that quality as well. That has to come into the equation as well. No offense, but it wasn't playing again. It wasn't Longford like on a Saturday night. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was a brilliant goal, and I do think that was our highlight of the season, was our run in Europe. But normally that is like, anyway, the League of Ireland team does well in Europe, it's always the highlight of their season. But definitely for us, it was like in a dark season, that was a shining light for us.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually correct myself there, because I said in the Vitesse game there was a goal. It was actually Duffy got a goal, and he was well onside, and he was given offside rather. That was me that said that by mistake. I was wrong, but I remember that now. Yeah. No, I messed up. It was me that messed up. But I remember that I was behind the goal, and I think you were as well behind the goal, were you? The south stand. So you couldn't actually see for sure. But when you saw it later on television, he was well offside. And that would have given Dundalk the lead in Dal Stadium against Vitesse. And, they were unlucky there. It was such a good performance. What's that?
And that was early in the game as well. Like, so that the crowd would have been up for that, and you would have.
Yeah, it was disappointing because they conceded 2 goals, and then Hubin scored a penalty late on. But they did put them under a lot of pressure for the last 20 minutes, as I said, and went out, but very unlucky to go out. And as I said, that was an awful decision, probably the worst decision of the season. And there's been quite a few. But that was the European adventures anyway. But if you had to pick the best performers of the season, if you had to name 3, who would you say could hold their head high for Dundalk in 2021?
Easy enough there. Dummigan, Hoban, Murray and Boyle. There's 4 of them straight. Like, there are only 4 players, I think, that played fantastic all season. Well, not fantastic, but like shone and pulled their way through. Like, especially Boyle and Dummigan, like, done very well. Dummigan was playing in midfield. He's playing left back, right back, centre back. He was playing everywhere. So he was really, really outstanding player. Really hope we get him signed up for next season now as well. Like, and Andy Boyle. You know what you're getting, Andy Boyle. Always going to be a solid 7-8 out of 10 every game he plays. Really commands that box. And if it wasn't for Pat Hoban, I don't think we would have won half the games we won. He was bullying defenders, scoring goals, doing everything for us.
Yeah, Hubin really came to the fore properly, I think, in the last few months as well. And like Dundalk, let's be honest, Dundalk were at a stage where for a long, I know they finished 6th in the end and kind of got finished close to a European finish. God, for a long, long time they were in the relegation scrap, weren't they? Which is just madness to take. Just madness to take. You think even if things could go as bad as they could, they wouldn't be down that low on the table, to be perfectly honest. Like, but it just shows stuff off the pitch always plays into what happens on the pitch,
Yeah, it all turned around, I think, when the fans came back.
The home form picked up, didn't it?
Yeah, I think we only lost 1 or 2 games after when the fans came back. Because like the Shed especially just erupted every time Dundalk touched the ball. We were just so happy to be back, and there was I think we got given out about the amount of flares and smoke bombs that were being set off, like missing fucking half the games anywhere at times because of the flares that were going off. But if it got us the 3 points, I don't mind missing 5-10 minutes of the games every now and then.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's actually one thing I was going to touch on as well, because I thought the Dundalk fans this season were absolutely unbelievable considering all that went wrong at the club, and poor results on the field, poor results off the field, really. And something I noticed now, because as I go vlog games and stuff like that, and Oriel Park, when the fans came back, even though they were down near the bottom of the league for a long part of that stretch, it was bouncing. They really got behind their team. There was one particular game, I can't remember which game it was, but they were in trouble in the game. They might have been one down, but the fans were going mad in a good way, kept getting behind the players. That was easy to turn on the players. And you would question one or two players this season in terms of their effort and application. But the fans were absolutely brilliant, to be fair, this season for Dundalk when they came back.
Yeah, because I think the first game I was at this season, I think might have been, apart from one of the European games, but it was away to Longford. Remember, I think we lost 1-0 and 4 people were sent off in the game or something. But they were booed off the pitch that night by some fans. But then after that was the only time I seen that. After that, everything lifted up and they started really, the fans started getting behind them again and forcing performances out of the players.
Yeah, no, that was brilliant to see, to be fair to them. Who would you say were the worst performers of the season? A few contenders there.
Yeah, well, probably Sonny Natstad came in with a bit of, I thought he was meant to be very good. Wilfred Zahibo was meant to be fantastic. Junior was a bit another flop. There were so many came in with promise, and you're like, oh, this guy's meant to be the next big thing. And was it Jesus Perez? We were chasing him for 2 years, and we finally got him. He played 45 minutes. That type of that's literally all he played was 45 minutes all season. That's terrible. I think some of the young fellas that you never heard of from having
you nearly can't count him because he didn't play really.
I know, yeah.
But that's the funny thing is, you're talking about those players, Natastad and Zahibo. They are good players. They're good technical players. There's no doubt about it. I just don't think they showed any interest really, and that was the issue really, I think. Yeah,
that annoyed me quite a lot. Han, God bless Han, he's not the best player in the world, but he tried every time he was on the pitch. He tried, and that's all you want really. At the end of the day, you just want to. The fans are showing passion. You want the players to show passion, and some of these guys Not said, I've seen highlights of him for the Faroe Islands, and he is trying there. He's played well, and you're like, why can't you do that for us? Why did you sign with us in the first place if you didn't want to be here? That's what I don't understand. Yeah.
But no, it's very disappointing when players come over with big egos like that. And as I said, they're not bad players, so it's clear that they're just not. You just see them; they're not interested. By body language of players. It's the one thing as a fan of any club you cannot stand is players not showing interest, especially when there's other players working their socks off, as you said as well. If you had to pick the performance of the season in one particular match, which match are you going for?
Probably the Vitesse game with the 2-2 over there. It was kind of it was a game where you had no right winning away, or not no right getting anything from, and just the performance the boys dug in deep and fought a result out. It was fantastic to see. It was great. I remember watching. I was on my phone in the hospital, watching it and scream my head off every time the dog scored. And people thought I was taking pains and turns and stuff like that. I was just watching the football, but it was a great game to watch. It was great to see Dundalk. Really, I know it didn't really do anything after all for the rest of the season, but it pumped a bit of belief into you. We can do it against these guys. We can do anything against anyone in the League of Ireland. But that'd definitely be the best game of the season.
Yeah, I suppose missing out in Europe would have been a big blow for Dundalk fans as well. So they're so used to getting into Europe. And as I said, they went into the last day of the season. They didn't quite have a chance. They were well behind in goal difference, but they kind of they got close in the end rather than they were in contention for Europe realistically all season, didn't they?
Yeah, I think if we had have managed somehow to get Europe, it would have been robbery. We didn't deserve it. That type of thing. But it was nice to go into the last game of the season and not having to worry about relegation. Something I think Dundalk's too big of a team. I don't mean to sound big-headed, but in the last 10 years, we probably have been the biggest team in Ireland, and to be fighting for a stay up is just ridiculous. Like, I think even like Cork, I think it was ridiculous that how far they've fallen. And it's like you could see it happening to Dundalk. Like, you can't let this happen. Not to my club again.
No, but I see what you mean, because like when you're winning so many league titles and the worst you're finishing more or less is second, how do you go from that to just a plummet? Like, it shouldn't happen, as you say. But
it wasn't a gradual fall. Like, it wasn't like you go second, then fourth, or third. Then it was just first, second, bottom.
Yeah, and it's not as if they didn't have players on, decent wages. It's not as if the club were struggling financially, let's say, which made it worse. Yeah, so we'll end on a bit of a positive feature, and I suppose Peak Six have finally gone, and StatSport are now in, and they're a local consortium, local businessmen, something that I think Dundalk probably needed, more of a community-focused setup. They will have a little bit of money, I believe, as well, to be fair, but you must be happy with that now at the end of the season. That's probably been the best news story of the season, ultimately, for Dundalk, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's great to get the club back into local hands and back for it. Like, I seen they released something that they want to get the supporters group involved in like meetings and stuff like that. And I think that's just fantastic. That actually the fans are going to have a voice. Like with Peak Six, like we had the same chip fan at Oriel Park since like the whole time I've been going, nearly 20 years, and it's gone now. You know what I mean? Peak Six got rid of it and got other people in. It's like, no, like.
Right,
that was our thing. Like, we love that chip fan.
I want to know, is the chip fan coming back, Fikra? That has to be the first thing on the agenda for these Dundalk owners. Is the chip fan coming back? Get it back.
Yeah, and there was guys as well talking. They got rid of it. There was always a puddle in Oriel Park going around the corner. It's gone now. They wrecked everything, so they have.
Bring the puddle back.
You know what I mean? Like, but it all jokes aside, like, it's great to have back in local ownerships. Like, and I know, like, when the boys owned it before, Paul Brown and that, you could see them like around town. It's great to see like the owners walking around wearing the Duck jackets on them and stuff. Like, I remember a couple of years ago we went over we played in Iceland and in Europe, obviously, and I was in the pub. We were all like drinking and singing, and there was the owners of the Dundalk FC singing along, banging on drums as well with all the fans. They're like, this is great to see. This is what you want. And then we went to American owners that never even set foot in the country, never mind in the town, and ruined it on us. And now, but it's great now we're back, and hopefully now, obviously, I can't say how good these owners are going to be. They could be worse than Peak Six, but we can only hope that they're not good.
Yeah, exactly. I think the good thing as well is the fact that they were able to buy the club, and the club will be at least stabilised anyway. It's not as if Dundalk are gone down to the mire, like, let's say. So I think there will be a stabilisation at the club, which is a good thing. And look, Fikra, thanks for coming on. We'll leave it there.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Guys, just subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit your bell notification button and let us know what you think in the comments. Are you obviously a poor enough season for Dundalk, but are you optimistic for the future? Cheers. Thank you.